Hello all. Unbelievably, I just finished reading Alphacore from the Rippaverse Comics. I mean, how's that for a speedy delivery to the UK? I was quite shocked that I got an email saying that it was going to be delivered today, the same day that I got an email saying they were starting fulfillment. I went for cover B just because I liked it the most, and it's written by comic legend Chuck Dixon, penciled by Joe Bennett, with several inkers I've listed here, and a couple of colorists also listed. Now, I may reference Isom simply because Alphacore first appeared in those pages, but I won't be doing any kind of comparison. At the end of the day, Eric is just starting out, whilst Chuck is an elder statesman of the industry, so it would be unfair, to say the least. I'm also not going to do any spoilers. First off, and simply put, I enjoyed it. It was a good read, with good art in part, but I'll get to that. It's basically a police procedural with superheroes and all that entails. It's fun, engaging, and actually has an emotional beat that really struck a chord with me. There's a classic sense of antagonism within the group, and they're all distinct and have their own motivations, which is always nice to see. I will say that Solari, the caped male hero, did immediately feel a little different to his depiction in Isom, but to be fair, he's only in a couple of pages in that, whilst here we have an entire story to flesh him out more. And most of them are fleshed out more, except for one. But oddly, that lack of fleshing out works in the character's favour. We find out just enough about them all to engage, but keep us intrigued. The villains too, you get a good sense of who they are without everything being underlined. Nothing about this book panders to the audience, and it has the balance right for the most part. The story pays off satisfactorily, but still holds some stuff back, and I definitely would be interested in reading more about this group. The story was cool and developed organically, though a couple of times it did feel like it jumped, and there were also a couple of times when I felt there should have been an extra panel to connect moments or let a scene breathe. Now onto the art, usually the thing that makes me pick up a book. The first 2/3 of the book, the art is really nice. It has a slightly stylised Jerry Ordway feel to it, possibly because Solari is very reminiscent of Superman. The layouts are great and dynamic, and most of the compositions in the panels work. There are a few dodgy looking faces, and not all the angles work, but nothing too distracting. Unfortunately, in parts, the quality drops in the last third, and it becomes a bit inconsistent with both the inking and colouring. Now, inking as a skill can be overlooked, but it's incredibly important for the look of the art, so I don't know if the inkers were less experienced, but certainly to start with, the pages looked over-inked and quite heavy-handed. At times, instead of improving the pencils, they emphasise the flaws. For example, at the start, there's a lot of detail in the panels which works really nicely. Yet in the last third, that detail makes the panels look cluttered, and some of that might have been due to the colouring. Because the colouring too, there feels like there's more subtlety at the start and the majority of the book, but it feels a little more clumsy, for want of a better word, in the last third, and at times doesn't complement the art so well. Now obviously art is subjective, and other people might think it's amazing, they might love every bit of it, they might prefer the last third to the previous 2/3. But for me, that's how it sat. It didn't really spoil my enjoyment, but it was quite jarring. But by the same token, not unusual, I've seen it happen in mainstream comics too. Age of Ultron was a classic example. So overall, it was a really good read, and I actually recommend giving it a look. It's still available at Eric's website, and I've put a link in the description. I'd also like to add that after initially being a bit ambivalent about Yaira, I didn't really understand what people were so excited about that character for. But the more I see the Soska sisters, the more I think that will be a cracking book too, and I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Anyway, I'll leave that there. Have you got your copy yet, and what did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts, but obviously please be spoiler free right now. Thanks very much for listening, and if you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Until the next Doctor Who vid, peace out.